I have a thought. It's an interesting topic, just like some of the interesting topics that I made, throughout the course of my channel ever since I started it till now. But hear me out, here goes. You ever wonder that tourists traveling around your country and showing it to people, aka videoing, vlogging, recording, showing it to people more than the locals/citizens. Locals can't afford to travel around their own country, but tourists can. Tourists may even become PRs and still be traversing around your country and vlogging it more than you. That has always caught my attention. And now I want to speak about it. It's funny, right, that people easily say that we should come to this country, we should come to that country because it's affordable. Yeah, in your currency, it's of course it's affordable because it's a lot stronger. Just like the dollar versus the US dollar versus the Brazilian reals. Just to name some of the currencies, or maybe African rands, or the Vietnamese dong, the Filipino peso, Mexican peso. What other currencies that are not that strong? I know one of those currencies that's called a dollar, but it's not exactly a dollar because it's, no offense, weak. So of course those tourists will go to the countries and say it's affordable, let's go there, let's shift there, let's live there, let's be permanent residents, let's be naturalized. And this is where people in their respective countries, the locals, have always spoken about. It's not a new thing. It's been going on for years, where they always bicker and complain and talk, rightfully so. I'm not saying I'm not saying that's wrong, and I'm not trying to shame you or anything. I'm just stating the facts. It's funny that even our home comrades, right, our home people, hombre, the hombres and the mujeres, or the mujeres, women. Hombre is men, mujer is women in Spanish. It's just that locals, natives, just people that are born in their respective countries, the nationals, and they have their citizens. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Citizens of their respective countries. They have their citizenships, and yet they can't afford. Whereby others, tourists, travelers, they can. That's why you often see videos and vlogs about your country is often made by foreigners. It's often made by Ausländer, Rammstein, German. Often made by Ausländer or Ausländer. And what about the locals, Ausländers from International can come to your country and then they enjoy more than you, the citizens. The locals, excuse me. In my country, I've seen that often. I've seen travelers coming here and enjoying it, rightfully so. Welcome to my country. But me and most of the locals and the citizens don't really get to enjoy, because our currencies for ourselves, the rightful inhabitants of our country, we don't really get enough. We don't really get the rewards. We don't really get to reap it. But tourists and travelers that come here, they get to, because their currencies are stronger. When they convert their currency to our currency, It's like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, depending on where you come from. And that has always like made me jealous. I always envied that. I've always wondered that. It's always bothered me, to be honest. And I long for that, but I'm just fucking broke. Excuse my cussing, but I'm just livid right now. I'm a born traveler. A lot of us are born travelers. Try boxing a born traveler. Try boxing a bird cage, right? And don't let it fly for a long time. It's gonna feel claustrophobic and it might lose its ability to fly again. It's just like the story where an eagle is raised by a chicken. So the eagle acts like a chicken because it thinks it's a chicken. It doesn't soar high in the sky, soar up high in the sky, flying like an eagle, rightfully so. It's nature. And then it looks at other eagles and is very fearful of them because those heights, Such a waste of effort, talent, potential for that eagle because it thinks it's a chicken. So I guess moral of the story is you gotta be careful of who you surround yourself with. Your environment, your setting. But it doesn't really seem to help us locals, right? Us locals and citizens. Because what can we do other than work and maybe start other ventures maybe, or even invest, trade, to rack up our money, and then we can travel. But even then, when we try to travel abroad, I almost said abroad, we convert our currency that is probably weaker into their currency that's much stronger, so it takes a lot more out of us. And then when we can't really enjoy traveling around in a foreign country because it's expensive. And also we don't want to lose too much of the currency, otherwise we can't come back, right? We'll be stuck there. We'll be stranded. We're gonna have to get the embassies yapping and yapping in the respective countries. Bring back my citizen, bring back my local, No, they can't leave because they are broke, and that's how some of the tourists and travelers from the country where their currency is not really strong, they end up in that situation where they are broke, and then they try to find jobs. Plural, they try to find jobs. Or some of them just sit by the street, roadside, begging for money, any spare change. Sometimes you see these beggars are actually foreigners. That's funny. I mean, not in the humorous way, it's just funny in an ironic way. But at the same time, I don't really blame them because their currency is not really strong, the currency of their respective countries. So if you want to travel to other countries, you better make sure and hope and pray that your currency is strong. Otherwise, don't even think about it maybe. You're gonna have to save up more and plan better. Maybe get a tour, go on a tour instead of solo. Because it's a package thing, right? At least you get the goodies within it that is preset. The presets in the package, you pay a price and that's it, you get the stuff. Instead of like being unsure because you're new, you're on foreign territory and land, so you don't really know what to do, the rules and regulations and laws, and then you can wrongfully get accused of something and then you're expected to pay. Especially you're a foreigner or a tourist, they like to bully you, those locals and citizens from their respective countries. They like to tease you. Well, that's the rules, that's the law. You have to pay for this, pay for that. You're in our country or in a foreign country and it's different from your country and blah blah blah. And for the whole time, for all you know, they're lying, scams, It also applies to foreign students, in case you're wondering. Yep, expats, expatriates. they end up having to work and all, and provide their visas, or they just sit on the roads, by the roadside, begging for money. I'm not trying to shame them or laugh at them, just stating my point. It's just upsetting that tourists enjoy my country more than I do. I'm not saying that I hate my country, I'm just saying that I don't really get to enjoy its fruits. I don't really get to enjoy what it has to offer. Haven't really been anywhere, haven't really traveled much. Especially those of you that come from gigantic countries. If you come from Russia or something, the biggest country in the world, and then foreigners and tourists go to your country and they enjoy your country more than you do because they can afford it. The Russian rubles, the US dollar convert to the Russian rubles, or the krones, the krona from the Scandinavian countries. I think it's stronger than the ruble, or even euros. I'm not sure which. I think lira is stronger, the Turkish lira. So Turkey to Russia, the Turkish will enjoy Russia more than you do, Comrade, bratan, fellow comrade from Russia. I'm just trying to be humorous. And then you'll be saying to them, "Chort, blyat, suka blyat," instead of saying "privyet," No, and yeah, maybe sometimes you feel like it, you say "privyet," hello, welcome. But most of the time, deep down inside, when they get to enjoy your country more than you do, you'll be saying "Chort, blyat, suka blyat," those Russian cuss words. Or if you're Italian, you say "figlio di puttana," merda, cazzo, coño, if that's the right word, Spanish, pendejo, carajo, cabrón, stupido. Yeah, it's just real aggravating, real agitating, real angering. You just get to see people, tourists and travelers, go to these fine dining restaurants, right? 5-star Michelin, like Felix from Stray Kids. I'll just say that. If you're those of you that listen to K-pop, I don't really listen, only sometimes if I feel like it. Yeah, he said cooking like a chef. I'm a 5-star Michelin. Yeah, most likely the diners in those restaurants are what you guessed it, travelers and tourists, more than your fellow men and women, your fellow countrymen and countrywomen, your fellow locals and fellow citizens. And it also goes to show that this economy BS things and whatnot is all made up, all these trade policies, bilateral relations, whether embassy in this country, embassy in that country, visas, no visas, free, visa free, right? Or you have to have visa 90 days, sometimes 120 days, however long, and whatnot, whereby if it wasn't all constructed like that, and yes, I know it's constructed for the well-being of the travelers and tourists, in case they get stranded or lost or whatever, then the family that is at home, in the home country of the said traveler or tourist, they can contact the embassy, and the embassy will do something and take charge and try to recall them, But then again, it's kind of flawed because you have all these things where even the locals and citizens can't enjoy their home country, but the tourists and travelers enjoy it more than them, which is funny. And then when they try to do this payback, right? Say an American visits Vietnam, and then Vietnam wants to go to America. The dong is not really strong. Sounds wrong. Hey, that rhymes. Spitting bars. The dong is not really strong and it sounds so wrong. The Vietnamese dong. Don't blame me, I'm not making fun of their currency. That's literally what the Vietnamese currency is called. The Vietnamese dong. You know, by all seriousness, it's just retarded. Dare I say. I'm so dumbfounded. And I've come to that realization, come to that knowledge, come to that cognizance, cognitive dissonance and all that, the neurological brain stuff, brain matter and whatnot, you know, when these things start to click and starts to light up in my brain, all these neurons connecting and sparking, and I was like, what the hell, what the F, and I decided to talk about it in this video that you're listening to probably, or watching, you know, unless you clicked off already. I don't mind, you know, whatever, if I'm getting too boring or whatever. But hey, I'm just trying to make my point. It's okay, I won't hold it against you. I will put it past you. Yeah, I will, you know, it's up to you. But yeah, what are your thoughts and opinions? You can leave it in the comments down below or don't. I'm just flabbergasted is all I can say. That tourists or travelers enjoy your country more than you do. And then when you try to enjoy their country, if your currency is not that strong because of all these economic things, blah blah blah, etc., the whole 9 yards, it's unfair. And they're gonna have to work harder and harder and harder and save your money, rack your stacks, save up some stacks of money, and then you convert to their currency, the foreign land, foreign country currency, wherever you're going, and you as an Auslander, Rammstein Auslander, you know, you should listen, give it a listen. Rammstein Auslander, it's nice, I like it. Ik ben Auslander. Yeah, just some spoilers. And they struggle to convert because their currency is, the foreigners' currency is very strong. And they have to rack up the stacks and then plan carefully, otherwise they end up being stranded, can't come back, embassies involved, this, that, you know, this, that, these, those, all be involved, and then it's chaotic. And then also you don't really get to enjoy, I already said that. So you're pretty much there for no reason. You just get to see some sightseeings and bird's eye views and whatnot, breathtaking. Maybe you can see some cathedrals, those big ass gigantic cathedrals, you know, even though I don't support religion, although even though you bash religion, but see what religion has to contribute and offer, you know. We have all these cathedrals and whatnot, mosques, or whatever, you know, the shoes, the first Abrahamic religion, shoes, whatever their place of worship is called, I don't know. Yeah. That's all I gotta say, I guess. I'm just ashamed. I'm just a little disgusted, you know, that Auslanders get to enjoy my country more than I do, and when I try to enjoy theirs, their currency is way stronger than my currency. Yeah, that's all. Adios.